Hello and welcome back to another episode of Stu's Reviews. Before we begin, if you like today's video and you find it of any help to you at all, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button because it will really help me hit my goal of 20,000 subscribers before 2020. But today we're going to be taking a look at the Mi Band 4. I'm going to be showing you what I think is really good about it, but I'm also going to tell you why I think you should wait to buy one. But before I do, let's take a look at the specs. I've been waiting a very long time for Xiaomi to give the Mi Band the spec upgrade it deserves, and on paper it would seem that time has come. It's very similar and reminiscent in design of all of its predecessors. The biggest difference in appearance, however, is the screen, which is now a brilliant AMOLED display. This model is also fully waterproof to a depth of 50 meters and includes swimming activity tracking. Although lacking in GPS, it has a myriad of standard tracking capabilities such as accelerometer, gyrometer and a heart rate monitor. All of this is packed into a tiny casing that can be easily removed from the strap. Overall, this looks like it could be a great upgrade. So, let's take a closer look. So first things first, let's talk about the style before we go on to anything else. Ultimately, it is very, very similar to the Mi Band 3, to the Mi Band 2 and to the original Mi Band. They've kept this classic form. I've got here, in fact, the Mi Band 3, and you can see it's very, very similar. Is it the same size? That's the quick question. So let's take it out of the strap. It's almost identical. There is pretty much no difference in the size between the two, which is quite an impressive feat considering the huge amount of tech they've packed into this little thing, which is way more than this. But it has come at a sacrifice, which I'll talk about in a bit. Let's pop it back in here. Overall, the design I quite like. I've always liked the Mi Band designs. I think it's something very, very simple, very, very straightforward, and it's a no-frills design. And you can get a bunch of different straps. Question is, does the Mi Band 3 strap work with this? Let's find out. In fact, I think they are actually identical straps. I'm just inept at putting it on. Well, that's a bit of a bonus. They seem to be identical in their straps. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I can tell, there doesn't seem to be a difference. In fact, I don't even know which one I've just put back on. How am I supposed to know? No, that's definitely the correct one. Now let's talk about the screen, because the screen is one of the biggest updates that they've done with the Mi Band 4. In all the older Mi Bands, it was just an LED sort of display that was pretty poor, and it was absolutely useless in bright sunlight as well. Whereas now, you've got this OLED display, which looks fantastic. It's not a new thing. I mean, there's been a couple of competitors who have done this already, such as the Huawei Honor Band 4. That's already got that in it. So it's not a new thing, but they've done an okay job. My criticism of this is that you can see the actual display outline when the screen is off, which is a bit garish, in all honesty, and it's not something you had on the old Mi Bands. I mean, maybe I'm just being nitpicky, but that is something I really liked about the old Mi Bands. But never mind, it's fine because it's an OLED display and it looks great. And on the subject of being able to see it in bright sunlight, being an OLED display makes it so much easier to see even in direct sunlight, which is a huge, huge benefit to the overall usage of this watch. Now, being an OLED display means that it can do and can display a lot more information on the screen than the older Mi Bands. So let's dive in and take a quick look at that. So you can see the screen is really, really nice, and this is what we're met with pretty much straight away when opening up the watch. Now, if we swipe up, we get access to a few different things. So we have status, which basically gives you your daily stats. We've got heart rate, we have workouts, weather, notifications and more. But if we just start off by tapping into workouts, you can see there's a number of different workouts on here, which is more than any previous Mi Band that they've done. So you've even got things like generic exercise and pool swimming because it's now waterproof. So that's a massive benefit. If we go back, we've also got things like notifications. So it displays it in text form, which is quite nice. The criticism I have of this is that the icon for the notification itself just says app, which is a bit annoying because most notifications that come through, whether it's YouTube or Twitter, just has the logo app, which again could be updated in software, and it's not what all of Xiaomi's products do. I mean, you look at the Amazfit Verge, for example, a lot of apps have their own notification icon. So that's a bit of a shame and maybe a little bit of an oversight there by Xiaomi, but never mind. Now, another thing you can do is music control, which is a really nice addition to the Mi Band 4. If we swipe right from the main screen, we get access to this here, and it takes a little while to populate, but I can basically do a few different things through this. I can turn the volume up, or skip track, or press play. What it should be doing now is playing music on this, which is the Tribit Max Boom, which I have reviewed, and I'll leave a link to that review just there for you. Now we can stop this by going here and going pause, like that. Oh, I played it. So you see it does work, but it does take a few minutes for that to actually come through, which is a little bit annoying, but it is manageable. It's a nice addition, if a little slow. Now, as always, a fitness tracker or smartwatch is only as good as its app. So, let's take a look at that. Now, the app is the same as all of the past Mi Bands. It's also the same as things like the Amazfit Bip as well. So, it's something I am used to. However, the last time I took a look at this, which was probably in the Mi Band 3 review, it was quite different, and it's been through some updates. So if you haven't seen those updates, let's just run through the app now. So we're met with a very different page to how we used to. It's got a little bit more information. It seems a little bit more cluttered. The thing that I don't like is now there's, oh, here we go, updates. And I'll talk about this now while it's updating. At the moment, the software is pretty new. This has only been out for the past couple of weeks, so it's not by any means a mature software for the Mi Band 4. So I have run into a couple of little issues. The issue I had was mostly with connectivity with the phone. Now, the Mi Band 3, I could disconnect from my phone for 6 weeks, walk near my phone, and it would automatically connect like that. This, however, decides to lose connection quite a lot, and I have to go back into the app and sort of resync it and pair it up with the phone again. And I don't know why it's doing that, and I can't work it out, but it does like to disconnect. And when it disconnects, it no longer shows things like notifications. It works absolutely fine. I can still use it to track my workouts, but it doesn't display any notifications from the phone, which is a bit annoying, to be honest. Is this a reason not to buy it? Well, possibly, and I'll talk about that in a bit. This update is almost done. I mean, hopefully, updates like this is going to solve that problem. So, if you're watching this, Xiaomi, it might be something you want to look into. I might leave an update in the description below to say whether or not I've continually had issues or whether or not it's been fixed. But, like I said, I'm guessing it's probably a software issue instead of a hardware issue. And an update like this, which may well be this one in fact, could solve that problem. Now, we're back into the app finally, so let me just run through my thoughts on the new app. First of all, Xiaomi, I'm going to call you out on this. Why have you placed an advert in the app? Yes, I can press the little X there to get rid of it, but that's so annoying. I don't want an advert in an app for a product that I've paid for out of my own pocket. Do not put adverts in my applications. It's just ridiculous. I spent money on this. I spent money on half your bloody products, and you're advertising to me. Naughty. I'm going to stop whinging about adverts now. The app itself obviously looks quite different to how the old style used to be. I'm not a massive fan of this new style. It's largely the exact same information, and colours wise it's very similar as well. So it's not so dissimilar that you won't know how to use it, but it is different. I did prefer the old one. It seemed a bit more simplistic in its nature. But anyway, let's just take a deeper look at some of the stats the Mi Band 4 recorded over the past few weeks. So I can go in here and I've got information about last night's sleep and my heart rate overnight, which is quite good. You can see here at about, I don't know, what's that there? Oh. About 3 in the morning, my heart rate shot up for whatever reason, probably having some sort of nightmare or a ghost was standing behind me. At 3:45 exactly. Spooky. So that's that. But what I can also do here is take a look at the information as well, such as the highest point and the lowest point that my heart has been at, and the average heart rate as well. What's interesting is there's a bunch of different settings you can do on here for your heart rate, and let's dive into those. But these settings do impact how long this will last for on its battery. So you can see I'm at 45% here. What I can go down to is heart rate detection here, and there's a ton of different settings you can change. I myself have got it to detect my heart rate every single minute, which I think will give me a much more accurate overview of my heart rate, and you know, it's something that I like to see over a course of a day to make sure I'm not about to die at any point. But you can change this so it does it at longer intervals, such as 5 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute. And what this will do is it will increase the battery life of your Mi Band 4. Now, it says here I charged it 6 days ago and I'm at 45%, which means that with my current settings, I'll get about 10, 11 days out of a full charge of this, which is a lot less than the Mi Band 3, which lasted about a month or more. So there is, that's gone. So there is a bit of a sacrifice in battery life with the OLED display, and if you do have things like heart rate turned on to measure all the time. So that's just something worth bearing in mind if you are going to buy this to do your heart rate all of the time. But anyway, back into the main app here. You can see how many steps you've done as standard in a normal fitness tracker, and you can go into here and see a little bit more detail whether or not you've been doing high-end walking, light activity, fast walking, that sort of thing. I can also see my activity history at the bottom here, so I can see it over the course of a week or a month. Another useful bit of information is the workout history in the app itself. So to get to the workout history though, they've changed what you do, and it makes it really frustrating as well. So this is another design flaw of the new style. But you tap on walking, then you have to tap on the walking distance at the top, which isn't very clear because it doesn't look like a button, and you get access to your workouts. You can see I've got one here from 11th of July. Now, interestingly, it hasn't synced all the workouts that I've done. This is just one particular workout that I did. In fact, I've done quite a lot since the 11th of July, but for whatever reason, it hasn't decided to sync them. Whether that's because it's updated and wiped some of the stuff on here, I don't know. But another issue with connectivity there, so a bit of a down point again. Overall, it's a pretty straight app. There's nothing horrendous about it, there's nothing fantastic about it, and if anything, I used to like it a bit more before the update because it just seemed a bit more simplistic. Now it just seems like there's stuff littering the place. Now the price is very interesting. At the moment, it sits at 30 to 40 quid, which isn't too much more expensive than the Mi Band 3 or even the Mi Band 2 was. So they've managed to keep the price low despite the upgrade in the technology inside this. Now, as usual, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check it out for yourselves. But this leads me to talk about what's actually inside this. Now, the UK version, or the one you'll be able to get here and currently work in the UK, that is in July 2019, is pretty bare bones and simple. It's a fitness tracker, and it does no more than that. It's got a couple of smartwatch bits inside it, such as the music control and obviously the notifications popping up, but overall it's pretty straightforward and it is what it is. The Chinese version, however, you can get one with NFC built in that works with things like Alipay for mobile payments, or even to unlock your car or your smart locks if you've got any. And it's also got an AI assistant built into it as well. So the Chinese are getting a much better device than us here in the UK. Now the real question is, should you buy the one that's currently on sale at the moment in the UK? Truth be told, I don't know. And that's because I am hoping that the features in the Chinese Mi Band 4 will make it to the UK at some point. I mean, there's a tweet from Xiaomi that came out earlier on today, in fact, before I filmed this, and that said, hashtag found at Area 51, Mi Smart Band 4 with Google Pay NFC. So to me, that sounds like maybe it's something on their radar, maybe it's something they're thinking about. Will it ever appear in this particular iteration of the Mi Band? I don't know, maybe they'll save it for a Mi Band 5 at some point. But I guess whether or not you should buy it boils down to the fact of whether or not you want something with mobile payments and NFC capability in the UK, or US for that matter. If you do, then this probably isn't for you. But if you don't and you're looking for a fitness tracker that is pretty solid, although could do with a bit of software updates, then it's a pretty good choice. And that concludes today's review. Guys, if you liked today's video, just a reminder to hit that like and subscribe, because as I said earlier, it'll really help me out hit my goal this year. And I'll see you back for another episode of Stu's Reviews soon. Oh, and if they do update it and it does stop all the nonsense, then I'll try and let you know somewhere. Possibly, like I said in the description below. See you soon. Before you go, consider supporting me on my Patreon page by clicking here. It'll give you some great discounts on stuff I've reviewed and helps me to continue doing reviews. If you want to see some fun stuff, click here to see the highlights of Stu's reviews. And, as a friendly reminder, click this button to subscribe.